Hey folks, welcome back. So I'm in Dublin tonight for something a little bit different. So we're going to go on the Ghost Bus tour around Dublin. So a little bit of horror, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of history. So let's see what Dublin has to offer after dark. So let's go. Yeah.
Hello, welcome on board.
In my video.
So let's say you, sir, let's say you preached heresy against the church. Well, then you'd be invited to spend the evening in one of our more well-known dungeons, where you'd receive your very own skin treatment. Exfoliation. Deep exfoliation. Now, some of you might laugh at these, some might have them in your own wardrobes, bedrooms, and closets. But in the Middle Ages, there was actually nothing funny about these things. They used to sew little shards of metal into each strand. So had I actually done that to you, it would have taken your skin off with it. So though titillating in today's world, nothing funny about the cat o' nine tails. Now let's see what else we have. Aha! These things here were known as the pillywinkles. The pillywinkles. So any idea what part of the anatomy this might be used on? What's that? A painful. This is for your thumbs, man. I set you up for that, though. This was used to get confessions out of devil worshippers. Devil worshippers from LA.
Sorry about that. What's that? We're doing a sacrifice, a human sacrifice.
All right.
We need a volunteer.
Yeah. John is like, you're gonna fuck on them. Hurry up. What are you doing? Jesus!
Fuck you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
Sounds right.
That was me. Yeah.
Dirty screamer.
Yeah, if you want to hear me, you can wander down. Where we are right now, because I can't talk much louder than this anymore. This was the medieval center of Dublin, and it was almost an underground city too. It was full of tunnels, laneways or alleyways, stairways going down, and right here is one of the original tunnels. Behind this wall, the tunnel still exists. Now there's a whole network of these tunnels to this day that go underneath Dublin. They go all the way under the city to where the Guinness Brewery is, all the way over to Stephen's Green. And recently I've been told some of these tunnels are still in use to this day. By politicians, I was told. Now this part of town here, this was sort of Dublin's night town. This is where priests and politicians would have mixed with prostitutes and dealers and thieves. And this is the part of town you could pretty much purchase anything your heart desired. Now this tunnel here, this leads to the crypts of Christchurch and to what is today called Fishamble Street. Now sitting on Fishamble Street today is a pub called Darky Kelly's. But in the 1700s, it was a brothel known as the Maiden Tower. And Darky Kelly, well, she was the madam of the Maiden Tower. Now, sadly, in 1761, she was accused of infanticide. She was accused of murdering her own baby. And see, this is kind of rich, because she was accused by the sheriff of Dublin, whose name was Sheriff Luttrell. Well, he was a regular visitor to the Maiden Tower. And his woman of choice was Darky Kelly. And said child was his. But see, this was a man of stature, also happened to be a member of the Hellfire Club. So he could not have been known to have a child with a common prostitute. So he came up with a plan to have his own child murdered and then to pin the crime on Darky Kelly. Now, 1 year later, in 1762, she was burned at the stake right over here, right on this side of these gates. And what they would have done is they would have rounded up 10 to 15 different women, and they all would have been accused of witchcraft. So first, they would have built a crude form of gallows right there, and they would have hanged all the women. And as they were almost dead, they would take sharp knives, cut the ropes, their bodies falling onto the hardened ground, bones breaking. And then they would light a fire around the periphery that would slowly move in, consuming their bodies. But the mystery is what happened to Darky Kelly's baby, because the body was never found and the child was never accounted for. And we believe the answer lies in a very common ghost sighting that happens right here. They say they see a woman walking up and down these stairs, and they call her the Green Lady. And they say she wears a green bonnet and a green cambric cloak, and she walks down these stairs and to the door of the church right there behind you. And she reaches in as if she's searching for something or pining for something. And the second she's aware anybody's watching her, she walks down those stairs and through this tunnel. Now we know for a fact that the ladies of the night back then, the prostitutes, they used to take their unwanted pregnancies, their newborn babies, sneak them through this very tunnel in the middle of the night, hand off the babies through that door so that they could be adopted by a good Catholic family or by the church itself. So it is our belief that the ghost of the Green Lady is actually the ghost of Darky Kelly, and that she's reaching through that door, searching for the child that she would have handed off at night to save it from the clutches of Sheriff Luttrell and his fellow Satanists from the Hellfire. Now, a little side note, after they killed Darky Kelly, they dug up the floorboards of the Maiden Tower and they found the remains of 8 male bodies. So they figure, perhaps on one hand, she was one of Ireland's first female serial killers. But perhaps on the other hand, she was just protecting her workers from sadistic men that went too far over the line, or perhaps didn't pay their bills on time. Now I also am aware, I can tell you so many stories in the night before you kind of mentally check out. So I try not to overdo it. I kind of try to find the right balance of it all. So are you guys still with me?
Yeah.
If you're interested in the darker side of Dublin's history and you have the time, this is a really, really cool neighborhood to explore. There's a church really close to here called the White Friar Church, for example, and inside there are the remains of Saint Valentine. Do you guys know why we celebrate Valentine's Day? Well, I will tell you. It's a quick story, though. It's only a minute. Don't worry. It's not like Darky Kelly's. During the Roman Empire in the 4th century, there was an emperor named Claudius. And Claudius was having a really hard time finding enough men to fight his wars. Couldn't find enough men to populate his armies because they were too busy romancing, getting married, and enjoying life. So he got frustrated and he declared marriage illegal. In the meantime, Valentine was a priest, so he started marrying people in secret behind Claudius's back. And he was caught on February 14th, and he was beheaded. And that's why we celebrate Valentine's Day. Very romantic, isn't it? But the connection to Dublin is, in the 1700s, an Italian church donated his remains from his neck down to a church here in Dublin. So if you go inside the church, there's a little statue of St. Valentine, and beneath are most of his remains. His skull remains in Rome to this day. Now we're going to walk through the park up here. I'll just give you a quick background. I moved to Ireland 17 years ago by now. And when I first moved here, that park was very derelict and overgrown. And if I'm honest, it was full of junkies and cripples. Although recently I've been told I'm not allowed to say that. So it's full of people with substance abuse issues. But in the last 10 years, they fixed up the park really nicely, and they made a play park. And they dedicated it to the memory of the children that were murdered during the 1916 uprising, which was Ireland's fight for independence. So anyway, to make our way up from there.
No.
You want to hear one last thing? We recently had people from the visitor center on this tour, and I learned something new. Once again, beneath the grass all around you are the remains of thousands of bodies. But this wasn't a graveyard. What happened here was, in the 1500s, there was a prison up the road, and when the prisoners would die, they would just dump the bodies off in front of this church, and they would unceremoniously dig shallow, unmarked graves all around this area and bury the bodies of the prisoners. So on that note, we can make our way across the line.
What's that? No, but the guy standing on the bus, all covered in blood. There's a dude there in like a clown's mask, and
Oh, that's the bus driver.
probably, yeah. Okay, folks, so that was the Ghost Bus tour. So if you're looking for a bit of laugh, a bit of history, a few frights here and there, it's definitely worth checking out if you're here in Dublin. So, from Late Night in Dublin, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next video. Take care.